The Galactic Confederation vessel Eternal Harmony hovered at the edge of Sol's system. Its crystalline hull caught the distant sunlight, creating a beautiful but eerie glow against the black void. Captain Day 1, Kim stood on the command deck, his tall frame tense as he watched the main view screen. His four-fingered hand tapped nervously on the smooth control panel. "What do you make of it, Jun?" he asked, addressing his science officer. Jun Park hunched over his station, three eyes blinking in sequence as complex data scrolled across his screen. The patterns made no sense to him, chaotic and unpredictable, unlike anything in the Confederation database. "Their communication signals follow no pattern we recognize, Captain," Jun said. "It could be primitive encryption or," he hesitated, "possibly a weapon targeting system activating." Day 1's skin changed color slightly, a sign of stress in his species. The Confederation's Supreme Council had been clear. Humans were primitive beings, only recently achieving basic space travel. They were to be studied, possibly later brought into the Confederation as a servant species if they proved useful. This encounter was supposed to be routine. "Magnify the approaching vessel," Day 1 ordered. The screen shifted, showing a bulky ship with solar panels extended like wings. The New Horizon moved steadily toward them, its hull marked with the blue and white Earth symbol. Inside were 15,000 humans in hibernation, heading to create a new colony on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. "Are their weapons active?" Day 1 asked, mandibles clicking with worry. Jun's fingers flew over his console. "Uncertain, Captain. Their energy readings are unusual, not matching any known configuration." The communications officer, Subin, turned from her station. "Captain, they're broadcasting something on all frequencies. It's not translating properly." What Subin couldn't know was that the humans were sending a standard greeting. The translation error made the peaceful message seem like a threat. Day 1 made his decision. Defensive measures. Now, the weapons officer didn't hesitate. His fingers activated the main energy cannon. A bright beam of concentrated light shot from the Eternal Harmony cutting through space in an instant. The human ship never had a chance. The beam sliced through the New Horizon like a hot knife through butter. The hibernation pods, the engines, the life support systems, all destroyed in seconds. Metal and bodies scattered into the cold vacuum. 15,000 human lives ended in a flash of light. 400 million kilometers away, in the underground military command center beneath the Rocky Mountains on Earth, Colonel Hanuel Lee watched the disaster unfold. She stood frozen, staring at the monitor as the telemetry from the New Horizon suddenly flatlined. All signals from the colony ship vanished at once. "No," she whispered, her face going pale. Her younger brother, Minho, had been aboard, heading to start a new life as a hydroponics engineer. "No, no, no." Around her, the command center erupted in controlled chaos. Officers shouted confirmations, technicians verified the data, and security protocols automatically increased to maximum. Admiral Jinho Kang strode into the center, his face grim. At 62, he had helped design humanity's secret defense plans. He looked at the main screen showing the attack, then at the gathered officers. "It's happened," he said simply. His voice, though quiet, cut through the noise like a blade. "Initiate Protocol Thermopylae." This is not a drill. Those words sent a chill through the room. Protocol Thermopylae had existed for 50 years, a contingency plan for hostile alien contact. Many had hoped it would never be needed. Hanuel felt tears threatening but forced them back. There would be time to mourn Minho later. Now she had a job to do. "Yes, sir," she replied, her voice steady despite her pain. Across the solar system, hidden military installations began to activate. On Mars, beneath the red dust, hangar doors that hadn't moved in decades slowly opened. Inside the asteroid belt, mining operations suddenly changed configuration. revealing weapon systems and launch bays. On Europa and Titan, research stations transformed into military outposts. Humanity had prepared for this possibility since the first radio signals from deep space were detected in 2037. While presenting a peaceful face to the stars, they had quietly built defenses and weapons unlike anything Earth had seen before. Back on the Eternal Harmony Captain Day One breathed easier as the threat was eliminated. "Send a report to Confederation headquarters," he ordered. "Inform them we encountered a primitive human vessel that displayed aggressive behavior. We were forced to neutralize it." "Yes, Captain," Subin replied, though her inner eyelids flickered with concern. The human ship had seemed so defenseless. Far away at Confederation headquarters, High Admiral Ta-Sung Park received the report while dining in his private quarters. The luxurious room overlooked the capital city's crystal spires, a view that reminded him daily of his important position. He read Da One's report with mild interest, then set it aside to continue his meal. These humans were nothing to worry about, just another primitive species that needed to learn their place in the galactic hierarchy. "If these humans protest," he remarked to his aide, "we'll simply show them their proper place in the galactic order." The aide nodded obediently, but something in the report bothered him. The human ship's design was surprisingly advanced for a supposedly primitive species. As darkness fell over Earth, lights came on in military bases that officially didn't exist. Soldiers who had trained for a war they hoped would never come prepared for battle. Engineers activated systems that had only been tested in simulation. In her quarters, Hay Newell held a photo of her brother, allowing herself 5 minutes of grief before reporting for duty. The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They thought humans were weak and unprepared. They were about to learn otherwise. 3 months passed after the destruction of the New Horizon *. The Galactic Confederation kept careful watch on Earth, expecting some kind of response. Their intelligence reports had described humans as emotional, quick to anger, and unable to coordinate effectively as a species. Yet there was nothing. No angry broadcasts, no attempted attacks, no diplomatic outreach. On the Confederation monitoring station orbiting Jupiter, Security Officer Yoon Seo frowned at her screens. She had been watching Earth for weeks now. "Still nothing?" asked her supervisor. "Nothing official," Yoon Seo replied. "Regular civilian broadcasts continue. News, entertainment, commerce. But no mention of the destroyed ship. It's as if they don't know it happened." The supervisor nodded thoughtfully. "Perhaps they don't. Their technology is primitive. Maybe they can't track their ships past Mars." Yoon Seo wasn't convinced. "Sir, don't you find it strange? Our reports said humans are emotional and quick to fight. Why are they so calm?" "Maybe they're not as advanced as we thought," the supervisor said with a dismissive wave. "Keep monitoring." The truth was far different from what the Confederation imagined. Beneath the red dust of Mars, in a massive underground hangar built inside an ancient crater, Colonel Hay Newell Lee stepped onto the bridge of the Retribution *. The warship was unlike anything in Earth's public space fleet, nearly 400 meters long. Its sleek black hull was designed to absorb rather than reflect scanner waves. Inside, the bridge hummed with activity as crew members prepared for departure. Newell paused for a moment, taking in the sight. The Retribution * was the culmination of 50 years of secret development, one of 50 such vessels hidden throughout the solar system. While Earth presented the face of a planet just beginning to explore space, these ships had been waiting, ready for the day humanity might need to defend itself. She slid into the command chair, feeling its contours adjust to her body. The grief for her brother, Minho, was still fresh, but she had channeled it into cold determination. "Status report," she ordered. Lieutenant Ji-Hoon Baek turned from his console. Young but brilliant, he had been selected for this mission from thousands of candidates. "All systems operational, Colonel," he reported. "Engine room reports fusion reactors at full capacity. Weapons systems checked and double-checked. The fleet is at 97% readiness. Admiral Kang has given the green light. Newell nodded, her face showing nothing of the storm inside her. Prepare for departure. We strike at the Proxima Centauri outpost first. Yes, Colonel, Ji-hoon replied, turning back to relay the orders. Newell touched a small screen on her chair arm, bringing up a private message from Admiral Kang. Operation Leonidas is go. Make them regret their mistake. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden military awakened. On Ceres, a mining operation suddenly halted as massive hangar doors opened to reveal 5 warships. On Titan, a research station transformed as weapon turrets emerged from what had appeared to be atmospheric sensors. In Earth orbit, 12 satellites classified as weather stations suddenly changed position, revealing their true purpose as weapon platforms. Perhaps most impressive was the transformation in the asteroid belt. What the Confederation had observed as simple mining operations turned out to be massive drone carrier bases. Thousands of automated attack craft stood ready, each the size of a small fighter, but without the need for life support systems. Earth itself seemed normal on the surface. Cities glowed at night, planes flew, and people went about their business. But certain military bases were now empty, their personnel already deployed to the secret fleet. And in homes across the planet, families received coded messages telling them their loved ones would be away on training for an indefinite period. Most importantly, every human outpost beyond Mars simultaneously went silent. All public communications ceased. To the Confederation observers, it seemed as if the primitive colonies had simply turned off their transmitters, perhaps as a sign of mourning. They couldn't detect the quantum communication network that had activated, allowing instant secure communication between all human military forces. On the Confederation capital world of Centauri Prime, junior analyst Sung Min Choi stared at his data screens with growing alarm. While his colleagues monitored the obvious communication channels, Sung Min had been assigned to analyze background radiation and energy patterns from Sol system. What he found disturbed him greatly. There were subtle but significant energy spikes throughout the system. The patterns of asteroid movement had changed slightly, and most concerning, the quantum fluctuations he'd been monitoring had tripled in frequency. Sung Min gathered his findings and requested an emergency meeting with his department head. After being kept waiting for 2 hours, he was finally admitted to High Admiral Taesung's outer office. "Sir," Sung Min said, trying to keep his voice steady as he showed his data, "the humans are up to something. Their quantum communications network has tripled in activity, while their public channels have gone silent. There are energy readings consistent with large engine signatures near Mars and in the asteroid belt." High Admiral Taesung barely glanced at the reports. Tall and imposing with decorative scarification, marking his successful military campaigns, he had little patience for junior analysts. "They're licking their wounds, nothing more," he said dismissively. "These readings are probably just their primitive attempts to improve their defenses, nothing to worry about." "But sir," Sung Min persisted, "our original intelligence may have underestimated them. These energy signatures are consistent with advanced propulsion systems." "Enough," Ta-Sung snapped. "Your concern is noted. Return to your post." Back on Mars, the massive hangar doors slid open, revealing the dark Martian sky. The Retribution rose silently, its advanced engines leaving no visible exhaust. Across the solar system, similar scenes played out as humanity's war fleet emerged from hiding. Newell watched on the bridge screen as other ships joined formation. Her hand went briefly to the pocket where she kept a photo of Minho. "This is for you," she whispered, too quietly for anyone to hear. Then, addressing her crew, "Set course for Proxima Centauri. The Confederation is about to learn that humans are not to be underestimated." As the fleet accelerated to their jump point, Earth continued its normal broadcasts, giving no sign that the largest military operation in human history had just begun. The Confederation outpost at Proxima Centauri floated peacefully in space. It was a beautiful structure, with curved wings spreading from a central hub. The station served as both a scientific research center and a minor military post, though its defenses were minimal. This deep in Confederation territory, there was little need for heavy weapons or strong shields. Station Commander Yin Ji-yoon was enjoying a quiet meal in her quarters when the alarm sounded. The harsh blaring made her jump, spilling her drink across the table. Such alarms were usually just drills or minor system errors. "Commander, to the bridge immediately." The voice over the intercom sounded panicked. Eun-ji rushed from her quarters, her meal forgotten. She ran through the station's curved corridors, passing other confused staff members. When she reached the command center, the scene was one of confusion. "Report," she ordered, sliding into her command chair. The young sensor operator looked up with wide eyes. "Unknown ships, Commander. They appeared suddenly at the edge of our sensor range. Our scanners can barely detect them. They seem to absorb the scanner beams rather than reflect them." "How many?" Yun-ji asked, calling up the main display. "At least 15 large vessels and hundreds of smaller objects, possibly drones or fighters." Yun-ji frowned. "No known species used such tactics in this region of space. Open a communication channel." The communications officer tried but shook his head. "No response on any frequency, Commander." "Raise shields and arm weapons," Yun-ji ordered. "Send an emergency signal to Confederation headquarters." Before the officers could complete these tasks, the first impacts hit the station. The entire structure shuddered violently. Warning lights flashed across every console. "Shields at 60%, called out the defense officer. "Multiple impacts from kinetic weapons." On the main screen, Yun-ji could now see the attacking fleet. The ships were dark, angular, and unlike any design she recognized. Most disturbing were the swarms of small drones moving in complex patterns that seemed random yet perfectly coordinated. Another series of impacts rocked the station. "Shields at 30% and failing," the defense officer shouted. "Impossible," Yun-ji whispered, watching the station's powerful shields collapse under the precisely targeted fire. The Confederation's defensive technology was supposed to be the most advanced in the galaxy. How could unknown attackers break through so easily? The main view screen shifted to show the largest enemy ship moving into position near the station. Its black hull seemed to drink in the light from nearby Proxima Centauri. Golden letters on its side spelled out a word: *Retribution*. Inside that ship, Colonel Hae-Nul Lee stood on the bridge, directing the attack with cold precision. The weeks of travel from Earth had only strengthened her resolve. Now, facing the enemy that had killed her brother and thousands of others, she remained perfectly calm. "Target their weapon systems and engines only," she ordered. "Avoid the habitat sections where possible." "Yes, Colonel," replied her weapons officer, carefully adjusting the targeting parameters. The *Retribution* fired again, this time with energy weapons that sliced through the station's outer defenses like they were paper. Around the human flagship, the rest of the fleet maintained position, while swarms of autonomous drones continued to overwhelm the station's remaining defenses. Captain Min Kwan, Hae-Nul's tactical officer, approached her chair. "Colonel, the station's defenses are neutralized. Boarding team is ready." Hae-Nul nodded. "Proceed. Remember, we need their navigation data intact." "And Min." "Yes, Colonel. Minimal casualties where possible. We're not them." Min nodded and departed to lead the boarding party personally. On the station, Yun-ji was trying desperately to organize a defense. The station's shields were completely gone, and multiple sections were now exposed to space. Emergency bulkheads had closed, but many of her crew were already dead or injured. "Commander," called her security chief, "they're boarding us at multiple points. Our troops can't hold them back." Yun-ji made a quick decision. "Initiate data purge. We can't let them access our systems." She began the procedure, but before it could complete, the doors to the command center exploded inward. Through the smoke stepped human soldiers in sleek armor, weapons raised. Captain Min Kwan entered last, her helmet retracting to reveal her face. "Commander Yun," she said in perfect Confederation standard language. "Your station is now under human control. Order your remaining forces to stand down." Yunji stared in shock. You're human. How do you speak our language?" Min smiled slightly. "We've been studying you for decades. Now please give the order. We don't wish to cause unnecessary deaths." Seeing no alternative, Yunji issued the surrender command. Within hours, the entire station was secure. The human forces treated the captured Confederation personnel correctly, establishing a detention area in one of the station's large cargo bays and providing medical care to the injured. Hanul arrived on the station 6 hours after the initial attack. She walked through the corridors, now patrolled by human soldiers, until she reached the main data center. There, technical specialists were already extracting information from the Confederation computers. "What have we found?" she asked the lead technician. "Everything, Colonel," he replied with a grin. "Navigation data for the entire sector, fleet deployments, communication protocols, and most importantly, the locations of every military installation, shipyard, and command center in this region of space." Hanul allowed herself a small smile. "Download it all. We move to Phase 2 in 12 hours. Meanwhile, at Confederation headquarters, an emergency council meeting had been called. The attack on the Proxima Centauri station was unprecedented. No enemy had ever struck so deep into Confederation territory. Among those present was Da-Won Kim, now stripped of his captain's rank after what was officially termed a diplomatic incident with the humans. He had been monitoring the situation closely, and what he saw alarmed him deeply. "The humans don't fight like any species we've encountered," he told the assembled officials. "Their tactics defy our conventional doctrine. They use swarm intelligence in their drone fleets that our prediction algorithms can't match. Their ships absorb our scanner beams rather than reflect them. And they struck with precision and coordination that suggests long planning." High Admiral Tazsung listened with obvious impatience. When Day 1 finished, he stood up, his tall form dominating the room. "One outpost lost to a surprise attack means nothing," he declared. "These primitives got lucky once. Our fleets will crush them when they dare to face us in open battle." But as the meeting continued, reports arrived of more human attacks across the sector. Small but critical outposts were falling one by one, each taken with the same precision and speed. Back on the captured station, Hanul stood by a viewport, looking out at her fleet. The first strike had been successful beyond expectations. Now the real war would begin. The Rigel system gleamed with 7 bright stars, hence its nickname among Confederation navigators, the 7 Stars. The system housed the largest Confederation military base in the galactic Northwest. Massive shipyards orbited the third planet, where warships were built and repaired. Defense platforms circled the main stations like metal moons. Admiral Junho Ryu stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Celestial Dominance *. At 3 kilometers long, it was the pride of the Confederation fleet. Junho had commanded it for 15 years and won many battles against pirates and minor rebellions. "Admiral," called his sensor officer, interrupting Junho's thoughts. "Unknown fleet approaching at sublight speeds." Junho walked to the main display. "Show me." The screen revealed distant ships moving steadily toward the Rigel system. They were still too far for detailed scans, but their general shape was visible. "Configuration matches. Human designs," the sensor officer said with surprise. "Similar to the ships that attacked our outposts." Junho's mandibles clicked together, a sound of amusement among his species. "So they've come to die in larger numbers. Very well." He straightened his uniform. "Order all ships to battle stations. Full defensive formation." The Confederation fleet of 200 warships began to move. Great vessels turned in space, forming a wall of firepower that no enemy could hope to break through. Energy shields glowed as they activated, creating a shimmering barrier. "Their fleet appears to number approximately 50 vessels," reported the sensor officer. "They'll be in weapons range in 20 minutes. Jun-Ho felt confident. 200 against 50. The battle would be short. He had studied the reports from the outpost attacks. Yes, the humans had shown surprising technology, but they had never faced the main Confederation fleet. Then the space before them erupted. It began as a series of strange light distortions. The fabric of space itself seemed to fold and tear. Jun-Ho's scientific officer shouted in alarm. Massive spatial anomalies. Something's coming through. Not 50 ships, but nearly 300 human vessels materialized in perfect attack formation. They had appeared from folded space, a technology the Confederation had deemed theoretically impossible. The human fleet had somehow bent the rules of physics to arrive instantly, bypassing the long approach. Impossible, Jun-Ho whispered, echoing the thoughts of everyone on his bridge. Aboard the Retribution Colonel Hae-Newell, Lee watched as her fleet completed the spacefold maneuver. The technology was new and dangerous. Several test ships had been lost developing it, but the surprise on the enemy's faces would be worth the risk. All ships present and accounted for, Colonel, reported Lieutenant Ji-Hoon. Minor fold damage to Beta Squadron, but they remain combat-ready. Hae-Newell nodded. The battle plan had been rehearsed countless times. Every ship commander knew their role. All ships engage according to Plan Thermopylae. What followed was unlike any battle in Confederation history. The human fleet split into precise attack groups, each targeting specific enemy vessels. Some human ships deliberately took hits to shield more valuable vessels behind them, a tactic the Confederation had never encountered, as their doctrine valued self-preservation above all. The humans launched kinetic projectiles accelerated to relativistic speeds, simple metal rods that hit with the force of nuclear weapons due to their velocity. Confederation shields, designed to stop energy weapons, proved less effective against these physical impacts. Most confounding of all, the Confederation fleet soon realized that some human ships appeared to be empty, sophisticated drones mimicking capital ships. These unmanned vessels made suicide runs against key targets, causing massive damage. On the Celestial Dominance Admiral Jun-Ho struggled to understand what was happening. His carefully organized formation was breaking apart as human vessels slipped between his ships, causing confusion and friendly fire incidents. Order Group 7 to hold position, he commanded. Tell Captain Siak to target their lead vessel. But his orders came too late. The battle had devolved into chaos, exactly as the humans had planned. By the 4th hour of battle, the Retribution had taken heavy damage. A direct hit had crippled its main engines, and life support was failing on several decks. Hae-Newell assessed the situation from her damaged bridge. Status report, she ordered, wiping blood from a cut on her forehead. Engines at 12%, Colonel, replied the engineering officer. Weapons still operational but shield generators failing. We've lost 38 crew members. Hae-Newell looked at the tactical display. Despite heavy losses, the human fleet was winning. The Confederation forces were scattered and disorganized, but the enemy flagship, the Celestial Dominance remained largely intact, directing what resistance remained. Hae-Newell made a decision that would become legendary in later years. Prepare boarding teams. We're taking the enemy command ship. Her officers stared in shock. Colonel, Captain Min said carefully, our engines can barely move us, let alone catch the enemy flagship. Then we'll use their momentum against them, Hae-Newell replied. Calculate their trajectory and position us in their path. We'll let them come to us. The damaged Retribution limped into position. As predicted, the Celestial Dominance moved to finish off the crippled human vessel. When the ships were just 2 kilometers apart, Hae-Newell gave the order. Launch boarding pods. 50 armored pods shot from the Retribution toward the enemy flagship. Inside each pod were elite soldiers in combat armor. Hae-Newell herself led the main assault team, her determination to end this war driving her forward. The pods crashed through the outer hull of the Celestial Dominance Explosive charges blew open entry points, and human soldiers poured into the alien vessel. The Confederation crew, trained for space battles but not close-quarters combat, were unprepared for the assault. Anul led her team through alien corridors, fighting their way toward the bridge. Her armor's AI translated the ship's markings, guiding them through the massive vessel. They faced resistance at key junctions, but pushed through with determination. Finally, they'd reached the main bridge. A short but fierce firefight left most of the bridge crew wounded or dead. Admiral Junho himself stood defiant as Haenul's team secured the area. "You fight without honor," Junho said, his translator converting his clicks and whistles to human speech. Haenul removed her helmet, looking the Admiral in his compound eyes. "We fight to win. There's a difference. With the enemy command ship captured and its commander taken prisoner, the remaining Confederation forces lost coordination. Some ships fled, others surrendered, and a few fought to the bitter end. By battle's end, the mighty Confederation fleet was reduced to scattered survivors. The human forces had suffered heavy losses too, nearly a third of their fleet destroyed or disabled. But the victory was decisive. From captured ships across the battlefield, human technicians extracted valuable technology and intelligence. Most importantly, they downloaded the complete Confederation database, giving them access to information about every world, species, and military asset in Confederation space. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy in unmistakable terms. No longer would they be dismissed as primitives. The message was clear: underestimate humans at your peril. Admiral Junho Ryu sat stiffly in his chair, his forearms resting on the polished table. The neutral space station orbited a lifeless planet between human and Confederation space. Junho expected execution. That was the Confederation way. Defeated commanders rarely survived to command again. Instead, he found himself at a negotiation table. Across from him sat Haenul, now wearing the rank of admiral after her daring capture of his vessel. The human woman looked tired but determined, her dark eyes revealing nothing of her thoughts. "You could have destroyed us entirely," Junho said, his mandibles twitching nervously. The translation device on the table converted his clicks and whistles into human speech. Haenul's face remained calm. "That was never our goal." Junho found this hard to believe. In the Battle of the Seven Stars, the human fleet had shown ruthless efficiency. They had damaged or destroyed over 80% of the Confederation forces, while suffering acceptable losses themselves. They now held key Confederation bases and had the momentum to push deeper into Confederation space. Haenul reached for a data tablet and slid it across the table. Junho picked it up with his upper right arm and began to read. His compound eyes widened as he processed the information. "These are reasonable," he admitted, genuinely surprised. "Recognition of human sovereignty, reparations for the colony ship, exchange of technology, and non-aggression pacts." He looked up at Haenul. "No territorial demands, no forced technological transfers, no control of our military." "We don't want vengeance," Haenul replied simply. "We want respect and security. Nothing more, nothing less." From the corner of the room, High Admiral Taesung watched silently. He had been quiet since the negotiations began, his once proud posture now slightly stooped. The defeat had cost him much of his political power, but the Confederation Council had kept him in his position to maintain stability. Now Taesung finally spoke. "Your species is not what we expected. That seems to be humanity's specialty," Haenul said with the first hint of a smile. "Being underestimated." The negotiations continued for 2 weeks. Both sides brought experts and diplomats. The humans were firm but fair, pushing hardest on 2 points: formal recognition of Earth and all human colonies as sovereign territory, and significant reparations for the 15,000 lives lost on the New Horizon asterisk. Each evening, Haenul returned to her quarters alone. There, she would take out the photo of her brother Minho and place it on the small desk. "We did it," she whispered one night. "They will never treat us as primitives again." On the final day, the main terms were agreed upon. Jun-Ho, who had proven reasonable throughout the talks, was named the Confederation's chief liaison to humanity. Before the official signing, he approached Hae-Newell privately. "There is something I don't understand," he said. "You had us defeated. Your ships could have pushed into the heart of Confederation space. Why stop?" Hae-Newell considered her answer carefully. "Destroying your Confederation would not make us safer in the long run. We study your history. Your civilization has existed for thousands of years. You've brought order and stability to hundreds of worlds. That has value." Jun-Ho's mandibles moved in the equivalent of a thoughtful nod. "And yet you fought with such intensity." "We had to show our strength completely," Hae-Newell explained. "Half measures would only invite future conflict. We struck hard so we would only need to strike once." 3 months later, on the repaired Proxima Centauri station, the Treaty of New Harmony was signed. The document formally recognized humanity as an equal power, the first time in the Confederation's 10,000-year history that a developing species had earned such status without centuries of probationary membership. The signing ceremony was broadcast across Earth and throughout Confederation space. Billions watched as Hae-Newell and Tae-Sung pressed their thumbs to the treaty, their handprints glowing as the document was encoded and authenticated. "Today marks a new chapter in galactic history," Hae-Newell said in her short speech. "Not as conquerors and conquered, but as equals with mutual respect." In the months that followed, both sides kept their promises. The Confederation paid reparations that helped build memorials for those lost on the New Horizon *. Technology exchanges began, though both sides kept certain military advances secret. Perhaps most remarkably, joint patrol missions started along the borders, human and Confederation ships working together to maintain peace. At first, these patrols were tense affairs, the crews eyeing each other suspiciously. But gradually, cooperation improved. On one such patrol, a young Confederation officer asked his human counterpart why humans often said, "Peace through strength." "It means," the human explained, "that being strong enough to win a war makes it less likely you'll have to fight one." The Confederation officer considered this. "My people have a similar saying. A sharpest spear may never need to strike." The human smiled. "Exactly." Meanwhile, far from these peaceful exchanges, troubling reports began to reach both human and Confederation intelligence services. At the very edges of known space, several outposts had gone silent. Survey ships sent to investigate never returned. One garbled message from a Confederation science vessel contained disturbing final words. "They're coming through. Ancient. Terrible. Not like anything we've." Admiral Hae-Newell was reviewing these reports late one night when Jun-Ho requested an urgent meeting. When he arrived, he carried similar intelligence from Confederation sources. "We've detected energy signatures unlike anything in our records," Jun-Ho explained, showing Hae-Newell the data. "Whatever is out there, it's moving toward both our territories." Hae-Newell studied the information with a growing sense of unease. "How long have you known about this?" "Not long," Jun-Ho admitted. "There are old legends among some Confederation species, stories of destroyers from beyond the galaxy that appear every few thousand years. Most considered them myths." Hae-Newell looked at the star map, where a dozen systems at the edge of known space now showed as dark, out of contact. "It seems we may have found each other just in time." "You think we'll need to fight together?" Jun-Ho asked. Hae-Newell nodded slowly. "If these reports are accurate, neither of us could face this alone." Jun-Ho's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "Perhaps this is why the universe brought our civilizations into contact." "Perhaps," Hae-Newell agreed. She stood and extended her hand in the human gesture of partnership. Jun-Ho, having learned human customs, took it carefully in his upper right hand. Together, they looked at the map of dark systems, growing in number by the day. Whatever was coming from the darkness between stars, humanity and the Confederation would face it as allies, not enemies. But that would be another story. The end.